Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again. We're going to have a break from dragons for the rest of this week because I've covered quite a few now and I'm still thinking about the other ones I haven't covered. So we've got a couple of non-dragon Tarkir guys today and tomorrow, then a requested one on Thursday. There might be something on Friday. I haven't quite decided if I've got enough time yet, but we will see. But for now, today's deck, Felothar, Dawn of the Abzan, white, black and green for a 3/3 human warrior with trample. Whenever Felothar attacks or enters, you may sacrifice a non-land permanent. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Now obviously the non-land clause is there because otherwise this would be far too easy to break this card in about 4,000 different ways as I've thought of so far. And I had to have a think. And it's an interesting one because, you know, when I was thinking about it, I had one idea and one idea only. And that was really to think about tokens. But I didn't want to use token creatures because a lot of the creatures I'm playing in this deck are a little bit small. And yeah, we're probably going to get beaten up. So there is one token type that helps us a lot. And that's where today's deck's going. So here we go. Here's what today's deck looks like. So, starting at the beginning, no Planeswalkers today's deck. We have gone straight for a fairly creature-heavy build. Starting with the Pilgrim to give us a bit of ramp, along with Birds of Paradise. And then Gilded Goose really gives away what I'm trying to do. Yeah, I've got a lot of ways of creating food tokens in this deck, because that seemed like the easiest thing to have around that we can sacrifice off to this guy, Felothar, and yeah, keep us alive a little bit. So we've got a lot of food creators, and that's what I was thinking about. I mean, I was a little bit hungry when I built this deck, but you know, we'll get there. So Gilded Goose, the Goldvein Hydra's here. It's a green deck. I like the Goldvein Hydra, and the treasure tokens are something else we can sacrifice to Felothar if we need to. We have a couple of clue generators with the Novice Inspector and the Thraben Inspector to give us something else to sacrifice. And then I went for some of the Outlast creatures because if we're chucking +1/+1 counters around, you know, we'll go back to Tarkir originally and go for that side of it. You know, we've got all these things. So we've got the Anakin Bondkin to give all our creatures with +1/+1 counters on first strike. And then we've got the original version of Anafenza, the Kintree Spirit, so we can bolster the creatures as they come in. Conclave Mentors here to basically give us more +1/+1 counters on our creatures. And then Pippin, Warden of Isenguard's come over to help Tarkir, apparently. Basically, so we can create more food tokens as we go along. And if we've got 4 spare, giving them all +3/+3 and haste isn't the end of the world. But to help that out, we've got Samwise Gamgee, another way of getting food tokens. Another non-token creature you control enters the battlefield to get food, as you all know. Vine Creep Mentor is also here because it basically gives us a food when it enters or dies. So, you know, and it's a squirrel, which is kind of weird, I suppose. But anyway, it's here. It does food. Abzan Falconer, as we all know, gives all the creatures with +1/+1 counters flying. And because we're playing so many foods, we might as well have Academy Manufacturing here to get extras as we go along. The other version of Anafenza is here when they were alive. The Foremost is here to chuck around +1/+1 counters. And creature cards in opponents' graveyards then get exiled because I think there's still going to be a lot of delve happening because of some of the Soltaire precon decks that are coming through, and I think a lot of people are playing them. Chatterfang, Squirrel General, also makes an appearance to give us some squirrel tokens to up our creature count. So, you know, that is something else we can sacrifice, but it's really the non-creatures we're going to be getting rid of. Envoy of the Ancestors is a new one from Modern Horizons 3, if I remember correctly. Get +1/+1 counters on everything, and then modified creatures, because that's what the terminology we're going with now, have lifelink. So, you know, you can pad your life total out quite happily. Grain, the casting director's here because we do have the Royal Roll, the Sorcerer Roll, or the Monster Roll tokens attacked, and we can sacrifice them at a push if we need to. Cameo of the Whispered Hope's a no-brainer because we're playing with +1/+1 counters. As is Kutzil Malmet Explorer, so we can get those extra card draws when our creatures are slightly bigger than what they were at the start. Old Tech Matter Weaver makes an appearance. We are going to be casting creature spells, so we might as well have some gnomes, or we can create a token that's a copy of a target artifact token we control if we need to. So that gives us more foods. Peregrine Took makes an appearance as well. Gives us a food when tokens are created, and we can sack 3 foods off to draw a card with Peregrine. And Sam, Loyal Attendant, also makes another appearance in a different format. At the beginning of combat in your turn, we get food token, and then it costs us less to activate our food tokens. But, you know, stack the triggers right, we should be able to do something fun. Tessa, the opulent oligarch, also makes an appearance. At the beginning of your end step, investigate for each opponent who lost life this turn, and then when our crews get clues. Let's get the wordiology right, shall we? Get sacrificed. We get to get 1/1 white and black spirit tokens with flying. So yeah, more creature generation. The Tuskar captain's here, so when we get the +1/+1 counters, everything gets trampled. Wojek Investigator gives us clues if people have got more cards in hand than we have. Abzan Battle Priest is just another way of giving everything lifelink, so another way of doing it. Apothecary White, coming in from the clue set. Whenever you attack, we get a food token for each player being attacked, and then we can tap untap foods to get 1/1 white human creature tokens. Benny Brax, Zoologist, because we are producing tokens, we'll probably be drawing cards. Alana, the Gardener, to go and get our basic lands out of our deck into play. No, Master Chef is also here, and we get to have a number of non-food tokens equals the number of non-token creatures we had enter the battlefield under our control this turn, so that's quite nice. Long Shot Squad gives all our modified creatures reach, and then Merchant of Truth to make sure we've got some way of carrying on getting our non-land permanents, and yeah, we can attack with one creature and get them really big because of the Exalted thing, so that's quite nice. Sorceries. Mainly Farseek, Nature's Law, Rampant Growth, 3 visits, Search for Tomorrow, and a bit of Control with Damnation. Just 2 instants, Path to Exile, or whichever one you want to play Swords to Plowshares if you prefer. I like just Path to Exile sometimes, so it's here. And then I thought I'd have a bit of fun with the Abzan Charms. It gives us protection against some of the big things that are coming in, or we can chuck around some +1/+1 counters if we need to at a push. Artifacts, again, not too many, but Mox Tantalite, Soul Talisman, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet help with the ramping side of thing. Then we have Elixir of Immortality, because I think our things are going to die quite easily, so we want to make sure they all stay in our library to draw again. The Underworld Cookbook lets us discard something we don't need and get a food token. Carrot Cake gives us a rabbit and a scry, and it is a food, so, you know, or it's a permanent I don't mind sacrificing off, so that's fine. And then Transmutation Font. Yeah, this turns up in a lot of my token decks, I'm aware of that. But this one's quite nice because we can literally just make a blood, a clue, or food. So we've always got, once we get this in play, we've always got fodder coming in for Felothar to have sacrifice to them. We have gone a little bit heavy on enchantments, some of which you'll be expecting to see. So like Hardened Scales is in, and then Innkeeper's Talent is also around. But we've got a couple of the Siege in, the only other real of the new cards we've got in. So the Hollow Merc Siege is quite nice. Choose Abzan. Whenever you attack, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature. It gains menace until the end of turn. We could do the Sultai one if we need to get a counter and draw. Is put whenever a counter is put on a creature you control, draw a card, but it only triggers once each turn. Yeah, I mean it's there. If we're ahead, that might be good. If we're behind, we need to draw some cards. It might be okay, but I would imagine we're going to go down the Abzan route more often than not. Speaking of which, Abzan Ascendancy is here, so we get the spirits when our creatures die off, and we get to chuck around some +1/+1 counters when it comes in. Branching Evolution is a bit of a no-brainer in a +1/+1 counter deck, as we all know. Fey Offering, because hopefully we'll cast creatures and non-creature spells, so we get a clue, a food, and a treasure every so often. Sylvan Scavenging chucks around the +1/+1s, and once we get something up to power 4 or greater, we get to have raccoons, which is even nicer. Tribute to the World Tree really does help that process as well, because it does put two +1/+1 counters on something if it's small. The other one of the sieges we've got coming in is the Baron Step Siege. This is basically Abzan all day long. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Yeah, okay then. I'm happy with that. Felothar Retreat, landfall, chuck around the +1/+1 counters to get vigilance, or if we really need to, we can get a cat beast. Search the Premises is just a bit of fun to give us another way of getting clue tokens. Smothering Tide is the only game changer I think is in this deck today. We all know how annoying Smothering Tide is, and the treasure may help out. Cathar's Crusade, though, is just still broken. Creatures enter, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Okay then, let's do that. Yeah. And the final card, which also does the whole +1/+1 counter tricks, as everyone knows, Virtue of Loyalty. You get a knight or a +1/+1 counter on each creature at the beginning of our end step, but this does give us the upside of untapping everything, so it does help. Lands, 36 of them, all of the black, green and white lands you would expect. I am playing Field of the Dead just to give us some more creatures coming into play. That is here today. There's nothing really that spectacular here. You know, Reliquary Towers here, Temple of the False Gods here. We're playing green on black, so Urborg, and a little further down, Yavimaya in as well. And yeah, that's it. That's the deck for today. I do think that Felothar is going to be one of the not big game-changing cards for Commander Land. So just move myself up here. But it is fun. It is nice to see a new Abzan way of doing things. And it is a slight twist on the usual +1/+1 counters we see. So, yeah, I'm happy enough to play this day. But that's it. Yeah. Thank you to all the people who have subscribed recently. We have now hit 642 as I record this one, so thank you very much. If you're the first time here and you can subscribe, I'd really like it if you can hit the button down below. There's going to be a lack of streams this week. I'm away next weekend. Well, this weekend coming up for a wedding, so this deck comes out on Tuesday. I will be streaming tonight, but I'll be doing my traditional new set, new draft. So we do that on the first stream. So you can come watch me stream through the draft tonight, which is Tuesday the 8th of April. So, you know, it's linked down below to Twitch. You can come follow me there if you want to come watch me have a laugh and drafting on MTGO. And then things will be happening. So keep an eye out. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with another non-dragon deck to talk about. So thanks for watching. Take care. Hopefully I'll catch you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.